Hey there, and welcome back over here to My Family's Meals. The theme of this video today is pretty much like easy weeknight meals that you could throw together when you are in a rush and that type of nature. I really hope you enjoy it, and let's go get to cooking. We're going to start out by making this feta pasta dish. It is viral all over the internet right now, so I wanted to give it a try myself. This is kind of like my variation of it. So in an oven-safe baking dish, I added 18 ounces of cherry tomatoes, orange and red, a half a cup of olive oil. For the seasonings, you're going to add a half a teaspoon of basil, oregano, salt, and then of course a teaspoon of pepper. You do want to make sure you add all of the seasonings in because it's just going to add a ton of great flavor. After you coat the tomatoes in the oil and the seasonings, you're going to add a block of feta cheese right in the center. This is 8 ounces of feta cheese. And now you see me coating the feta in the oil and seasonings as well. I'm just tossing it in it like that. For the garlic, I'm adding about 5 to 6 cloves of garlic. I didn't peel them or anything like that, just because after you pull them out of the oven, they'll be easy to peel. This bakes on 350 for about 35 minutes. While that's in the oven baking, you're going to go ahead and boil up your 8 ounces of pasta noodles. I'm using this type of pasta noodle. Also, be sure after your noodles are cooked to reserve about 3/4 cup of the water for a little bit later. Now that our feta and tomatoes are through cooking in the oven, you're going to remove the garlic and you're going to peel them. It is going to be a little bit hot, so be careful, but since the garlic is nice and roasted, the peel will come off super easy. This recipe truly is a really simple one. Now I'm adding in my 1/3 cup of fresh basil that I just cut into smaller pieces. And with a fork, I am just going to squish the feta cheese, squish the cherry tomatoes, and combine everything together. It's going to create a nice creamy sauce. With the 3/4 cup of pasta water that we reserved, I just added it in at this point and, mixed everything to combine. The very last thing you're going to do is add your drained pasta noodles, stir everything together, and then it is ready to serve. Here's the finished product. This meatless meal came out unbelievably good. My entire family liked it, and if you're a feta cheese lover, I really do think you would enjoy this recipe. It has a ton of great flavor. I just sprinkled some Parmesan cheese on top. Now we're making some lemon garlic butter chicken. To get this one started, I have a pound of green beans that I did trim and clean off. You're going to put them in a microwave safe dish, add a cup of water to that, and microwave these for about 10 minutes or until they start to get soft. Over to my saucepan, I added a tablespoon of butter along with a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm going to let that get hot. Once it is hot, you're going to add in your chicken tenderloins. I used about a pound of them all together. And then you're going to season these tenderloins on both sides with paprika, onion powder, salt, and pepper. I do also want to say that you could use chicken thighs as a substitute to these chicken tenderloins or chicken breasts if that's what you prefer, but I just had these tenderloins on hand I wanted to use up. I only flipped these once while they were cooking. It just made for a better crust on the outside. Now that they are cooked through, I'm just removing them to a separate plate, and I'm going to set this plate to the side. To get started on this amazing glaze type of sauce that we're going to be making, in my same saucepan I added a half a cup of chicken broth, and then for my seasonings that I'm using a half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a dash of red pepper flakes, a dash of onion powder, and then you want to add some minced garlic. I just added a teaspoon of that. You're going to scrape the bottom of your pan to get all of the bits off. The remainder of the ingredients that I'm adding in is just a tablespoon of butter, and then our green beans that I pulled out of the microwave. We're going to let them cook in here for an additional 7 to 8 minutes, or until they're at the softness that you like them to be. This step is optional, but I am adding in a half of a fresh lemon. It's just going to add a lot of great flavor. My green beans are very tender at this point, so I added our chicken back in. I'm just going to let the chicken warm through. Here's the finished product. This is my plate of food. I served my chicken and green beans with some seasoned rice. This was a very simple meal to throw together on a really busy night. This one is another one for all of my meatless meal friends out there. We're going to be making some tortellini veggie soup. I have 6 smaller to medium-sized carrots and 1 white onion. I'm just dicing into smaller pieces. Over to my Dutch oven, I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. I added my veggies, and I'm going to let these veggies soften down for about 5 to 6 minutes. Now that they are soft, you're going to add in your tablespoon of Italian seasoning with about a half a teaspoon of some salt and a fourth a teaspoon of pepper. Just stir these seasonings together. Before I let this simmer on my stove, I'm going to add in my 3 cups of veggie broth along with about 14 ounces of diced tomatoes, or you could use fire roasted tomatoes. You're going to also want to add in 15 ounces of white beans. I did drain and rinse these white beans, and then I totally forgot to add in a couple cloves of garlic after the veggies were softened, so I just added that garlic in at this point. No harm. Anyways, I'm just going to stir this together and let this simmer on my stove for about 10 minutes. Here we are after our soup has simmered. I'm adding in my 9 ounces of frozen cheese tortellini. I'm going to let those cook, and then I'm going to add in a half a cup of some heavy whipping cream, stir this together, and then add in about 2 to 3 cups of some fresh spinach. Let the spinach wilt down, and then it is ready to serve. This is my bowl of soup. I topped mine with some Parmesan cheese. This has amazing flavor, probably one of my favorite tortellini veggie soups of all time. My family loves it. Even my little daughter devours this. For this chicken parmesan casserole, you're going to start out by needing a half a pound of some pasta noodles, and you're going to put them in a pot of boiling water. You could use any type of pasta that you have on hand. For the chicken, I'm using a rotisserie chicken. You're going to need about 3 cups of shredded chicken total. You definitely don't need to use a rotisserie chicken. You could just boil up chicken and shred it that way, but I was already at Costco, so I just picked a rotisserie chicken up. So now that I am through with that, over to my pot, I just drained my pasta noodles, added them back into my pot, and now I'm going to be adding our chicken. With 24 ounces of marinara sauce, you could use any type of marinara sauce you like. I just was using this Prego for today. Now I'm adding in about a cup and a half of mozzarella cheese and a teaspoon of some Italian seasoning for some extra flavor. You're also going to want to add in some onion powder and garlic powder. Now that I am through mixing all of this together, over to my medium-sized bowl, I'm adding 3/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs, half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, some Italian seasoning, and some onion powder just for flavor. You're going to mix all of this together. This is pretty much the topping for this casserole. I have a medium-sized casserole dish right here. I'm just spraying it with plenty of some nonstick spray just for some easy cleanup in the end. I'm just plopping our casserole right in there, and then you're going to spread it out to the best of your ability. The very last thing you're going to do is evenly pour the panko mixture on top. This bakes on 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. Here's the finished product. This is my plate of food. I served mine with some steamed broccoli on the side. This was a really fun way to make chicken parmesan and a really simple way to make it too. My entire family liked it. Now we're making some sticky chicken. That's what my family likes to call it. We're going to begin with the sauce first. In this bowl, I'm adding 2/3 cup of some hoisin sauce with 1/4 cup of some rice vinegar. After the rice vinegar, you're going to add 1/3 cup of low sodium soy sauce. Make sure you do add the low sodium soy sauce compared to the normal one, just because the normal soy sauce will be too salty for this recipe. 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 3 cloves of garlic, and then about 2 teaspoons of some ginger. The last ingredient that I am adding is 2 teaspoons of some cornstarch. Then you're going to whisk this together and set it to the side. In this large Ziploc bag, or you could use a large bowl, I just added in 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour and 1/2 cup of cornstarch. You're also going to want to add in a small amount of some salt and pepper. You're going to zip this bag up and give it a shake to incorporate the ingredients. In this purple bowl right here, I have 2 egg whites. I just whisked them together. I added my 1.5 pounds of cubed chicken breast to the egg whites, and I'm just going to stir that to combine. Now I'm going to add the chicken over to the cornstarch and flour. I am shaking the chicken a little bit and dripping some of the egg whites off. Now that my chicken is coated, I brought it over to my Dutch oven that has 1/2 cup of canola oil in there. When you add your chicken to the oil, you do want to make sure that your oil is hot before you add it in, just so it cooks better. So I flipped it at the halfway point. I do want to mention that it would be better if you cook the chicken in batches, but I didn't have time for that on that night. Now that the chicken is cooked, I'm just going to remove it to a separate plate, and we're going to begin on the sauce. I just added our sauce mixture that we made up to my Dutch oven, let it simmer and thicken. Once your sauce is nice and thick and looking something like this, it is time to add back in your chicken. You're going to add your chicken in, coat it in the sauce. Once it is coated in the sauce and warmed through, it is ready to serve. Here's the finished product. I served my chicken over some white rice with sesame seeds and steamed peas. This came out really good. It has a wonderful, rich flavor, and the chicken was nice and crisp. And that is a wrap of this video today. I hope you enjoyed it and found a recipe that you might be able to make yourself. I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe and healthy out there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.